On today's episode, Deidre and I discuss her hobby, which is astonishing and generous and exciting because it's about creative industry coming together and doing this beautiful work with IT.
Art meets technology.
Art meets technology, virtual reality, augmented reality. What was the third one you said?
Robotic vision.
Oh, robotic
and
vision.
mixed. Well, there's mixed reality in there too.
Yeah. So it's if you have a chance to check out Create Noosa, how will they find that?
On Facebook, and we have createnoosa.com. And if you're a student, a high school student, you'd want to check out immersehigh.com.
Definitely. And if you're a teacher, absolutely check out what Deidre and Chris have been doing because it is so fabulous for your students. So watch right through, stay to the end and enjoy. Hello and welcome to Stories from the Red Couch, episode 66. I'm Robin Cook and today my guest is Deidre Marczynski. How are you, Deidre?
Very well, thanks Robin.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, I've just been fascinated for such a long time about what you do because I see you in things concerning IT and creativity and almost always up at Noosa or Peregian and those sorts of areas and I get the sense that there's education in there, but I've never actually known what it is that you do. So just tell me what it is and then give me a little example of what that might look like.
So yeah, you're right, I do probably wear a few hats.
I think you do.
As many people do these days. So let's see, on the business side, my partner and I, my partner's Graham Willett, and we run a business which links university students to company projects to do as part of their training and part of their final year undergraduate work. They can do major projects. So I find company projects that they can do as part of their training, and they get a lot of support throughout the project. And Graham, then I do the marketing and student recruitment side, and then Graham takes them through on the training side and then helps mentor them through the project. And they have support from the company and an academic supervisor, and so it's a real gateway for them, being like they're just about to graduate. This is a chance to use all of that knowledge and skills over the last 3 or 4 years that they've accumulated
into
on a real life
yeah.
project where things just don't always go according to the
plan.
book. And that's where the real learning happens.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I really love that hands-on learning opportunity, and I think that for me that's the way that I learn best, and I'm guessing that a lot of other people are like that too. Have there been any sorry?
I wish I had $1 for every student that told me this is the best thing that I've done in my whole degree. Now it all makes sense.
Yeah. So have you got anyone that stands out in your mind as really taking that?
We've had over 1,150 students through the program, but so some of them now run their own businesses or are very senior management in other businesses. There's students all over the world because we work with domestic as well as international students, and some of those international students want to stay here after they graduate and others go back home. So we have all these little ambassadors all around the world, which is lovely, and they keep in touch and tell us.
Lots of different industries, or
yeah, lots of different industries.
That's fabulous.
So basically any type of industry that can utilise engineering or IT or business or science skills. So very much that those STEM sort of areas.
And then just recently, I was there and had the best time. Was Immerse 2018.
Yeah.
How fabulous was that?
I know, it was such a great weekend. We've been getting really good feedback, and that's part of what I do with Create Noosa, along with Chris Bowden.
So tell me about Create Noosa, because that's such a dynamic little organisation too.
Yeah, that's so that's what I do in my spare time as,
Okay,
as a volunteer.
That's your hobby.
So yeah, but it's amazing because I get to use the skills and experience that I've built up over the years in my local community, because our business is based pretty much down in Brisbane. So I wanted to find something that I can do to contribute to my new home up here, because I've only been up here for 7.5 years, so I'm still a newbie. But I met Chris Bowden early last year, and he had just kicked off Create Noosa, and I was introduced to him, and he shared his vision for creative technologies and introducing creative technologies to artists and creatives all up and down the coast. And the logic behind that is that the next wave of technologies that are coming through that are likely to really offer opportunities are the 3D and immersive technologies, such as virtual reality and augmented reality and robotic vision. So on the Gartner Hype Cycle, they're the ones that are most likely to really take off, but also be able to map to the types of skills and people that we have already on the coast. So being artists and creatives, if we add technology to those creatives, it becomes these creative and immersive technologies like virtual reality and augmented reality. And those technologies basically allow those creatives to take their stories to new audiences, or tell their stories in different ways. That will, and if they build these skills and add them to their toolkit, then they've got this immense opportunity to take on these projects that are starting to, you might start to see virtual reality and augmented reality happening on the web. And I mean, we've got our new augmented reality mural down in Caloundra, which is the region's first, thanks to Sunshine Coast Council. And you know,
that really is spectacular, isn't it?
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that artist who did the augmented reality side of it was an artist that we brought to the coast last year for Immerse.
Stu,
or Sutu. So, and he's an amazing guy.
Yes.
So you know, they're the sort of collaborations that we're hoping to build. So from local artists learning from these world-class creative technologists, we hope that local artists and creatives can build the skills to be able to then take advantage of those opportunities locally and internationally. I mean, Stu lives on a plane most of the time. He's so in demand because he's built these skills, and therefore he's become known that he can collaborate and build, you know,
and
work on these projects.
he collaborates right across the spectrum, doesn't he? Because he's done some work with Indigenous communities in WA, and that work is so exciting.
I know. I think they're working on an exciting film at the moment that they're going to tour next year to festivals. So watch that space.
And that's a really that's an opening market, isn't it? Because I've just seen an Australian artist, Lynette Walworth, who, I think that's her last name, who has produced Collision.
Okay, yes.
And another film which is in with an Indigenous group in South America, and both stunning. Incredible.
Yeah, it really is. Virtual reality filmmaking is a real emerging area. The Byron Bay Film Festival has a virtual reality art stream in it, and Jamie was one of the panellists that came up to Immerse last year, and she also goes over to Cannes Film Festival and other places to help curate or you know, look for quality virtual reality films as well as, I guess, normal types of films. But there's all sorts of areas where immersive technologies can be used. So there's film, there's games, there's lots of training and simulation applications for industry, for education, for healthcare.
So we saw one last year on working in an underground tank, didn't we? And you've got the goggles on, and you're going down into the tank, and you've got all your kit. And there you are, immersed in a tank with all of the hazards and so forth that go with that.
That's right.
And so from a training perspective, it can't get much more realistic.
That's right.
In a completely safe environment.
That's right.
than that.
So it saves money. It helps. It helps train people without actually physically taking them out to those sorts of sites.
So there's a cost saving for the trainers as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that might have been by Real Serious Games, a company in Brisbane.
I think so.
And they're some of the pioneers in that area of using virtual reality in simulations and training. And so they teach train drivers to drive their trains via virtual reality and.
Because we saw that last year too, didn't we?
Yeah, so there's so many uses, and psychologists are now using virtual reality to help patients who maybe are overcoming fears or trauma or phobias, and so they can gradually get them used to whatever they're fearful of, and they can overcome that, because they found that virtual reality taps into a different part of your brain. So it's neurologically it's really interesting, and the learning you get when you're in virtual reality is a deeper level.
My experience of it a couple of weekends ago was in drawing using I can't recall the name of the medium, but it was like a spray can that had shaving cream or something, and it was thick and goopy. And I was building a framework. And I had built the uprights, and then I put the bar across, and then the ones going out. And then I found that I actually ducked under to do the one at the back, because it was...
You felt like it was really there.
Look, you can laugh.
I know.
It was so real. And I heard my other teammates giggle and say, look at what she's just done, because they could see it on the screen.
Yeah. But it's not until you put the goggles on that you really get it.
I know. You can feel it. You can feel that I'm about to walk through something and that doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, it's just the way we're conditioned.
It's astonishing.
But you can virtually, when you're painting using tilt brush or whatever, you can literally go through it or
and
go
walk around it
or go look under it or scale it up, scale it down,
I know.
But
so I can really understand how... what an impact that would have on someone if you're actually training them or helping them through a trauma, that type of thing.
That's right.
Yes.
Or
building empathy.
Yes, that's right.
Because that's another whole thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is. I remember one of the first times I saw something in virtual reality. It was called Stand in My Shoes. And it was taken from the perspective of somebody who lives in a wheelchair or moves around in a wheelchair. And it was used in order to give the carers of people who have a disability and live in a wheelchair to understand life from their perspective. And so you moved through the world in the chair, and you saw people's reactions to you as you were moving through. And they then put the carers in the headset and let them move through the world in the eyes or seeing through the eyes of the person that they care for. And the reactions of those carers were like so emotional, and
it would have been.
And they said, for the first time I just have this much deeper understanding and empathy now that I've actually, I feel like I've experienced part of their world in a different way.
It's an incredible thing, isn't it?
It's very powerful.
It's very powerful.
Yeah. And the technology and all of those situations offer artists opportunities, because that content really needs to be created by artists and creatives, not just technicians or technologists. So it's really an artist-driven technology. And
storytelling too, because on the weekend we were with Charles and Craig from Visitor Vision, and they were saying this is all fabulous, but unless you have a story and a really good, strong storyline, it's just equipment.
That's right. That's right. It shouldn't be about the technology.
No.
It should be about the stories, but it's just another tool to tell these stories in new and more interesting ways.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, because when we, we can spend our time on our phone and flicking through this news feed or that news feed, and we're so superficial. Everything is incredibly superficial now, and we find it difficult to put our attention to something for any great length of time. With this immersive technology, it's a whole body experience, really, because you do feel it, and it is immersed in your brain.
And now they've got the haptic gloves, so you can literally feel things as well. So they're adding more sensors into the experience. And I mean, you can go on virtual reality roller coasters, and
that really spin your head, don't they?
there's, China has, or is building the biggest virtual reality theme park in the world, and so you can just imagine. There's a professor at QUT whose job, apart from teaching and research, is designing virtual reality roller coasters. Really? That's a job.
That's a job.
Who would have known?
I know. So in that job, there must be lots of spin-offs then. So we're looking at the technology, we're looking at the creatives. What sort of ancillary or additional industries come into that?
Marketing and advertising are really taking it on board. I don't know if you've seen what IKEA do, for instance. They're using augmented reality in their catalogues, and on not only in printed catalogues, but on the web now you're starting to see virtual reality and augmented reality. And so, for instance, if you want to have a look at that couch in your living room before you buy it, you can use augmented reality to have a look at it, and literally you turn around and decide, I wonder what it looks like over there. And you can put it there and see whether it fits, whether you like it, before you hit buy. So it builds that engagement, that deeper level of engagement.
So if we think about Pokemon Go, this is where gaming and play is where a lot of these things are born and developed and, banged around a bit to see what the capabilities are, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess Pokemon Go was the first mass adoption of of augmented reality that people would be aware of. So I think there's one about to come out with from Harry Potter, from the Harry Potter series. So I saw a teaser for that a couple of days ago. So be aware, wizards. You'll be using augmented reality to do all sorts of interesting things. But augmented reality is, all the immersive technologies are moving quite fast, and we're starting to see them converge. And there's another term, mixed reality. So who knows where the hardware is going to go in the future. We're looking, they're looking at glasses instead of headsets, and it's all a bit clumsy sort of hardware-wise at the moment, but it's still very early days. It's like when we used to carry the brick around.
Big phones.
It's a great big brick around, glued to our ears, and now we've got these supercomputers in our pockets.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Sent the spaceships out into orbit. So the Moore's law applies, and so the rate of change with the hardware is going to be enormous. But we just know that these technologies are going to offer us more opportunities to create a digital sector, especially in a region like the Sunshine Coast and
So
Noosa.
I was going to say that. What does that mean for a region like ours, particularly where we've relied in the past on agriculture and tourism predominantly? It really opens up a new world, and also from an educational viewpoint. So what's it like for us as a region, and what's it like from an educational and our children's perspective?
So I guess every region wants to be a tech-enabled hub these days.
Yes.
So that's nothing new, but Chris's original philosophy, I guess, was rather than just be a generic tech hub like everybody else, let's play to our strengths. And and look at what technologies are aligned with our strengths. So if you pick creative industries, for instance, and you add tech to that, you've got the immersive technologies. So that gives us a niche within the digital sector that if we keep building these skills and attracting the talent and attracting companies, because once we've got the talent base, then we'll start to attract companies who want to be based here because they've got access to the talent.
Yes.
So it's sort of like a two-pronged strategy, and we're playing a long game here. We're looking at a 10-year plan, and our sneaky plan is to try, we're aiming to create 1,000 jobs in that 10-year period, specifically in creative technologies. So we want to be known as a region or a centre of excellence for these technologies. And that will then, I guess, be our niche within the tech sector. So I guess that's our little plan. But so we're working with schools as well to help build the skills from a young age. But then, like at Immerse, we work with adults as well.
So with the schools, it's Immerse High.
That's right, yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, this year was the second iteration of that project, and last year it was like a test,
of course,
a pilot program, I guess, where we just worked with the Noosa high schools, and we ran a virtual reality art competition. And so this year, based on the feedback, and we rolled it out and included Sunshine Coast high schools as well. And next year we'll expand it again. So, but we upped the level of what we expected from the students this year too. So last year it was simply use tilt brush, tell us, show us what you can paint. And this year we upped the level and made it an immersive storytelling theme. So they not only had to paint in tilt brush or whatever they wanted to, or they could use augmented reality, but they had to tell a story. And the theme was empathy. So that was really interesting because that started lots of different discussions about what is empathy, which was part of why we chose that theme.
Because you don't want to just keep it about one element. You really want to bring all of those capabilities and compassion and empathy and interacting with people.
That's
is definitely important in there.
I guess if we're going to continue competing with the robots in the future, we have to, I guess, enhance our humanness.
Yes.
And one of our human traits is empathy. So we need to celebrate those human traits and amplify them. So that was part of the reason why we chose empathy. But so they needed to create their virtual reality story, and then they needed to film it and output it as a video. So there were a few more elements to the competition this year. And we had all year levels in high school compete. And the winner was from year 11 at Mountain Creek State High. The second place getter was from year 7 at Caloundra State High.
That's incredible.
And the third place winner was from year 9 at St Andrews Anglican College at Peregian Springs. And the fourth place getter, who we didn't actually give a prize to, but I just thought it was really cool. She was the twin sister of the year 7 student who won second prize. Okay. What a talented family.
Yeah. And nice that they had their own projects.
Yeah, that's right.
That's so interesting.
So, I mean, I've interviewed a few of the students when they've been creating their artworks and asking them, because they're all art students. We work with the art teachers, and then they introduce the technologies to the kids. And they just inhale it. I mean, within 10 minutes, they're creating these masterpieces. They just pick it up so intuitively.
It's exciting,
and
isn't it?
They already have the creative skills. They're
creative and they're digital natives, I think is what we call them.
That's right. So
they're just, it's just another thing.
I guess part of our role we've found, especially during this year, is we've got to break down the barriers for the teachers, because if you put it in front of the students, they get it straight away. So we've just got to make sure that the teachers are comfortable with
And
it.
that's what you did with Immerse 2018, because you had
We
quite
had
a
a
number
few,
of teachers
yeah,
there.
which was awesome.
Yes, yeah. And they were doing it because they wanted to
Yeah.
find the technology, get the application, feed it into their schools.
That's right.
In a really meaningful way
That's
that
right.
their other teachers could embrace as well.
Yeah.
You had a great crew there.
So yeah, we did. We had a really diverse group actually.
Yes.
From kids right through to all ages
Yep.
really, and visual artists, other types of creatives, and quite a few educators actually.
There were.
And so it was really good to see. Very diverse group, which was awesome. And wasn't it great to see Lyndon Davis there?
beautiful.
So I'm so looking forward to seeing Gubby Gubby stories told with
Augmented
reality. That was so exciting for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of, this bundle of energetic excitement around the possibilities of what we can do here and how we can incorporate it into all elements of our communities.
That's right. And both councils are really on board with what we're doing.
They are.
We've had so much support from both Sunshine Coast and Noosa councils. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
And we're working with the Horizon Festival team as well. So this year they dipped their toe into immersive technologies, and we're talking to them about upping that next year.
All right.
And they've got some really good ideas, so we'll be collaborating with them on that. And I mean,
Thanks.
we're all about collaboration.
Absolutely.
So,
We have to.
and Script, because they're right across the region. They've been super supportive as well.
Yes.
And CQU Noosa, because they teach digital media at CQU, and of course USC have the games.
Serious games.
Degree down there. So we have, we're blessed really with great schools, great universities for a region this
and
size.
supportive councils and organisations. It's incredible, really,
that's
isn't
right.
it?
And Advanced Queensland, with the RADF funding, actually ensured that some of our key artists were able to
be there.
attend.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
it's an exciting time,
it's
Deidre.
exciting. Well, yeah. I mean,
I could be in that world all the time. Really.
I know, I love it too. But it's it means that people can choose if they want to base themselves here, but take their art and creativity
around the world.
Yep. Still based here, or they can tour with it or whatever, but they can choose to have the lifestyle that we love.
Yes.
While we moved here, or those of us who moved here rather than were born here. And the kids have these opportunities too. They don't necessarily need to move away to have these great high value careers in creative technologies.
Yeah. So exciting.
That's what we're working on. I mean, Chris has got 3 young kids, so as he says, he has a vested interest,
and he does,
and so do lots of people within the Create Noosa network.
Yep.
So we have lots of 3D artists who are already working in their own areas, and we're sort of just, I guess, putting the network together so they can all collaborate and know each other, and rather than all working on their own thing and not even knowing that somebody down the road is doing all these cool things.
Yeah.
And we, introducing that to the council as well. We did a showcase to Noosa Council earlier in the year, because they're the biggest customer in Noosa, let's face it. So if, for instance, they wanted to do some 3D architectural visualisation or some 3D planning for whatever part of council, well, they don't need to go out of the region to find somebody to do that.
That's exactly right.
So we wanted to showcase locals working in these 3D areas to hopefully, build those relationships as well. And I'm sure, we'd be able to do that with Sunshine Coast as well, because it's not all about Noosa.
No, we are sister regions, aren't we? No, none of us do.
No.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me, Deidre. It's just so fabulous to hear about what you've been doing, where you've come from, but all of the Create Noosa work is just astonishing. I'm just so excited and grateful to have the opportunity to be part of it.
Yeah, we're very open to
do that.
We can't, we need more involvement, and we're very open to collaboration
Yeah.
and other people joining us on this mission, if you want to call that.
Yep.
But
Yep,
I mean, it is for everybody's benefit. We're not doing it for our own,
No,
for any particular, you know, self
that's right.
interest.
Yeah, and that's very
really.
generous. It's fabulous. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
watching. I'm almost speechless at the end of this because my mind is racing. So thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Robin. Thank you, everyone.